the king of Fomo.
What's up, everybody? King of Fomo here, coming at you with your daily crypto update. All right, so we're going to do sort of a triple release video right here. We're going to talk about true P.O.I. I want to do a deeper dive into this platform and really just talk about kind of the potential of where it can go. I'm going to stay a little more optimistic since you heard my critiques in my last video. You can go watch some of the critiques, the positives and negatives of this contract. And I also want to clear up a little error I made with the last video in terms of who is running this contract and all. Now, this is going to be a triple release. I'm also going to be making a video about Doge, a separate video, and I'm going to be making a video maybe about the comparison between these two platforms. Now, as always, since I'm doing 3 videos at once, you can follow my Patreon to get access to all three of these videos at the same time. Otherwise, you can wait until I do like a sort of a staggered release over the next couple of days for all 3 videos. So first, let's get into true P.O.I. So like I said yesterday, this is a P3D type of smart contract. And the main error I want to clear up right away is that yesterday I said that this was a contract run by the Oracle. So that is actually not the case. He did speak to me and he said that this is not his contract. And I don't want to throw him under the bus and say that it's his if he's saying that it's not his. He says it's under another guy named Ace Wins who reached out to him to help promote the contract. Now we can talk about kind of why that could be a positive thing and kind of what you should think about that a little bit more into this video. But I just did want to clear that up because I know that a lot of times when you have smart contracts that are released, you have the brains behind the operation. And then if things go south, many times the brains will just use the YouTuber as the fall guy. And, you know, I've been in that situation a few times. I know Oracle's been in that situation a few times. So just to clear that up, being a person who talks about the projects is not equivalent to the person who is launching the project. So with that being said, we can talk a little bit more about just how could this work out? Like, what is the best case scenario for this? And just how these things work in general, in case you forgot or you weren't around in the 2019 days during these P3D type of contracts. So again, just a quick overview of what this is. It's a smart contract where if you buy into this P.O.I, you get P.O.I tokens. And with these tokens, you have a 10% fee when you buy the tokens. So 10% of what you buy in Ethereum is going to be distributed to all other P.O.I holders. If you're already a holder, then everyone else who buys after you, 10% of their buys will go to you and everyone else who's a holder. So you can imagine that being early to this thing is a very, very good idea because if thousands of Ethereum get poured into here, then you could see that thousands of Ethereum can be coming your way because of the interest that's being paid to all the P.O.I holders. All right, so I want to start with the positives of this smart contract overall. I know the last time I talked about this, I started with the negatives, but let's go ahead and talk about the things I really like about this contract. So the one main thing is that there is going to be an anti-whale feature. So 10 Ethereum of P.O.I tokens can be sold from a wallet every single day, only 10 Ethereum. Now in the past, we had a lot of like just bad situations where people would get in early and they'd do it quickly and then they'd have hundreds and hundreds of Ethereum to sell, and then they'd sell hundreds of Ethereum and just everybody would get wrecked when that happens. So having that 10 ETH anti-whale outflow per wallet is a pretty big deal to make sure that it keeps it sustainable, especially if you have somebody who was lucky enough to get a bunch at the very beginning. You know, that's another thing. You can have people who are snipers who just buy 10, 20, 30 Ethereum in the beginning and they just completely destroy the platform within hours or minutes because they dump after a big buy-in. So that is a good feature to have. So the other thing I want to kind of focus on, so we talked about this 7 ETH seed of the contract. Now that is, before I said it was concerning, like I said, I'm going to stay on the positive end on this. So the reason why it was concerning in the past is because if you had a lot of people buy in, like ambassadors, you would call them, buy into the smart contract, and you had 15, 20 Ethereum worth of ambassadors buying in, then essentially what that means is you have to trust these first 15, 20 Ethereum worth of ambassadors to not dump on you really hard. Because again, it just spells quick death for the smart contract. I haven't really seen too many of these P3D type of contracts do well if you have people just, like, the price pumps up to maybe 200, 300 Ethereum, and then your ambassadors start dumping. It doesn't really recover. We've only seen that happen maybe 1 or 2 times. So that is a negative. However, the positive is, because we know where the 7 ETH is coming from, we know that 5 Ethereum is coming from the Oracle and 2 Ethereum is coming from the developer. You know, kind of what's going to happen with that seeded money, especially if the Oracle is going to be talking about the platform and you know, giving information about it in videos. You can sort of at least see it coming more than if it was complete strangers who had the ambassador fees to the platform. So as long as the Oracle's being positive about the platform, the likelihood of him dumping his 5 ETH seed is lower and again more predictable than just having strangers have that seeded money. And I've said in my other video that he has a good track record of not just pumping and dumping the price immediately. But again, you also have to keep in mind that it is a smart contract, just like it is a P3D smart contract, and eventually people are going to sell, right? So don't expect the Oracle or anybody for that matter to hold on to this contract forever and ever and ever. Eventually people will take profits, and if it goes the Gandhiji route, then we could see potentially a resurgence of it later on. Like we'll talk about Gandhiji in a separate video, but you know, that's just sort of the positive end to look at that 7 ETH seed. I know that for the most part, I don't really like the seed, but if it has to be done in any sort of way, it's good that the seed is done only by 2 people and that one of the people is publicly talking about the video, so it's slightly more predictable. Of course, you can't predict when anybody's going to sell, but at the very least, you can sort of follow along at that point. So that's a positive about this thing. So the last thing that I want to kind of cover is, how will this thing do? So that's the thing I'm most excited about for P.O.I. and for Gandhiji is I don't like it's really, really hard to predict overall what's going to happen with these smart contracts, because we are not in the 2019 days where you had you know, thousands of people buying into these contracts, and I talked about how word of mouth really does just carry this stuff far, right? If we look back and see the first one, P3D, it started off slow and it went for months as people started hearing about it, people started buying into it more, the price of it went up, and it was just a snowball effect that happened over months. Now, I'm a little bit surprised that both True P.O.I. and Gandhiji are on the Ethereum blockchain right now, because right now it seems like the majority of the degen plays, and when I say degen, I mean like the people that are into these type of smart contracts, this short-term gains stuff, that's what I consider to be degens. The majority of the degens are over on Solana, like by a long shot. I think that a lot of Ethereum degeneracy has moved over to Solana, so I'm surprised that these smart contracts are not on Solana. But nonetheless, I think that'll be interesting to see. Will the degens come back? Will the word of mouth spread, kind of like how P3D spread in the beginning? Can we see... I remember back when P3D started, if you would follow along on like the gas charts, it was the most popular smart contract on the entire blockchain for a while. And if P.O.I. or Gandhiji can generate that type of buzz again, then you can see some pretty massive gains from getting in these smart contracts. But again, if not, if the degens are going to stay over on Solana, then you know, this is worst case scenario. Then you're just not going to have the hype and the momentum to carry these smart contracts a long way. So again, I'm excited to see. It's impossible to predict and see where the momentum is going to be carried, because the pool that Ethereum has is just not currently there right now. But then on the positive end, we are on the upside of crypto. That's kind of one of the reasons why I came back, is because we're starting to see some very good signs in terms of regulation and just people returning to crypto and crypto having a more positive light overall. So with all those things being said, I'm excited to see what True P.O.I. can do. This thing launches in 4 days, 16 hours, and 19 minutes. I'll probably buy into it. I'll probably set my alarm and buy into it a little bit once it does launch, and I'll do a follow-up video on it, maybe one more time before and after this thing launches. But that is everything for today, guys. Hopefully that clears things out for you guys and gives you guys a clearer decision on what you want to do. Of course, you can watch along and just follow along to see if other people are talking about this. If it's just me and the Oracle, then we'll see if it does well. I mean, the positive end on that, if you're just seeing me and one other person talk about this, the positive end is you're early, and if it does blow up, then you're going to be early. You're guaranteed to be early. But hopefully more people will start talking about these things, and we'll see kind of where this thing can go overall. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and again, follow my Patreon if you want to get access to the Gandhiji video and the comparison video. I'll have them both launched within 24 hours, and then otherwise you can catch my sequels to this. We'll talk about Gandhiji tomorrow on this YouTube channel and the comparison on the next day. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.